Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, that was inadequate. Look at this. It's really cold outside. You made great warmth in here. And we share the spirit. We create something unique in here, what's called a Kehillah Kadoshah, a sacred community. One that never was until you walked in and may never be again. All of you may not be here next week. You've got other things or you live in other places. My name is Jamie Gibson. I'm the senior rabbi. This is Cantor Laura Berman. And Rabbi Gorban has disappeared. The Disappearing Rabbi Act, which is oh no, she's right over there. This is called Mostly Musical Service. It happens every month on the first Friday of the month. And there's singing, and there's clapping, and there's dancing. All the things that I was not allowed to do in my Reform congregation growing up, because we sat there like this. So you don't have to sit there like that. You can clap, you can dance, you can get up. We have kids dancing, but also please know that we'd love the adults to join us as well. It is Jewish Disability Awareness and Inclusion Month, and we are so indebted to Mara Kaplan and all of her hard work and all of her friends, all of the people who have worked on tonight. Give them a round of applause. We don't usually applaud, but this is a special occasion. Or do this if you would. There you go. So everything we're going to be doing is going to be up on these screens. And you can follow the words, the Hebrew, the transliteration. We'd love to have you not only sing the songs that you know, but learn songs that we're going to introduce tonight. So, Cantor Berman, what's first?
We have a special Hine Matov. Some of you may have been at last month's performance on Belfield Avenue of Nefesh Mountain. When Nefesh Mountain, a Jewish bluegrass group, came to Pittsburgh for a special concert and invited by Dor Hadash. Thank you very much. So we picked up some of their music and bought some of their music so we could bring it to you this evening. First is a Hine Matov. Channel your best bluegrass self and have a good time.
So everybody knows, say Hine, Matov, Uma, Naim, Shevet, Achim, Gam Yachad. Behold, it's a beautiful phrase from a psalm, how good it is, how wonderful when we all gather together. Okay? It's like a waltz. A 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I don't dance. Come on, Rach. You want to come and dance? Okay. Or fall down, either one. Come on. You're not going to leave us hanging, are you? Come on. Come on, dance with us. Bring your mom. Come on. Or your dad. She's doing a solo back there.
Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Again.
Here, do this. So, Lanayim
umanayim shevet achim.
Oh, you're gonna get dizzy.
Gam
So the other way.
Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Oh, you got sparkle shoes. Left. Or not. There goes my grandkid. Come. Want to dance with us? Bring your mom. Come dance. It's better than just sitting there, right?
Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Again. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad.
So where are Lynn Rubinson and...
Wait, before we get there.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. My fault.
We always want our sanctuary to be a space where everyone can worship. And this passage, which was written as part of a whole congregational worship inclusion handbook, is something that I think affirms our own beliefs. And I'll invite you to read the indented and bold words responsively with me.
If it's difficult for you to read the screens, we do have printed versions on the table out to my left and your right.
As God's creations, we are fashioned uniquely, each endowed with individuality of body, mind, and spirit.
To worship freely the one who has given us life.
Each of us has abilities. Each seeks fulfillment and wholeness.
Each of us has disabilities. Each knows isolation and incompleteness.
Seeking shelter from vulnerability, we all share, claiming our promised place in God's household of faith.
We are transformed by invitation, affirmation, and love.
In grateful response, we worship and serve God, the source of hope and joy.
Celebrate and serve one another, rejoicing in our diversity.
Transform and serve the world until we become a community which reflects God's oneness and peace.
Let the house of God be open to all who would enter and worship.
Now I'd like to invite up Lynn and Laura to light our candles and to join us for Kiddush. As you are able, please rise.
These candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Whoops. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvoto v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav. Sorry. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratav hanu Shabakocho, Yavauraton, Hinilanu, Zikarama, Severeshi, Kiyam Tehila, Merikaya Kodesh, Zeher Siyat Misraim, Kivanu Vaharta, Veotanu Kidasha, Mikol Hahamim, Veshabah Kochecha, Ve'ava Uratzon, Hinotanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Take a drink.
It's just juice.
Sam. Thank you. Thank you.
If there are barriers of attitude, communication, or architecture for anyone, the foundation of the house of God is weakened for all. Every person is created by God. Each is loved by God, and none should be diminished by another, even by unintentional words or actions. God may see wholeness of spirit, where our imperfection and imperfect vision may see only brokenness of body or mind. Rather than being a burden, shared need and vulnerability should be recognized as the glue of a supportive community. Under distracting surface traits, there is a central person created by God. Fortunately, God does not use intelligence or rate of growth to measure faith. God knows our abilities and our potential. God longs for us to respond lovingly with all that we are and to be all that we can be. God frequently works through the unexpected. We need to listen, persevere in spite of inconvenience, and remain open to creative solutions and opportunities.
Please join us in these words of Lechun Ranana from the first of the Psalms that welcome Shabbat. Lechun Ranana, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Adonai, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Nariya. To God, the maker of all, pure and strong. All of creation from mountain to sea, hear our song. Join us. Lechun Ranana.
This part is easy.
Lai 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 lai.
Wonder and all of God's light, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our hearts to hear God's voice. Lechun Ranana, Lai 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 Lai, Adonai, Lai 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 Lai, Nariya, Lai 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 Lai, Tzor Yishenu, Lai 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 Lai. So all these are from Psalms, part of the Kabbalat Shabbat. This is one of the funkiest tunes we'll ever do here. So you might as well clap on the beat, off beat, like that. Hard for us to clap on 2 and 4, I know, but we are teachable.
יעלו שדי, בכל אשר בו יעלו שדי, יעלו שדי, בכל אשר בו יעלו שדי, אז ירננו כל עצי יער, אז ירננו כל עצי אז ירננו כל עצי יער, אז ירננו כל עצי יער, יעלו שדי, בכל אשר בו יעלו שדי, יעלו שדי, בכל אשר בו יעלו שדי, אז ירננו כל עצי יער, 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 יעלו שדי, בכל אשר בו יעלו שדי, יעלו שדי, בכל אשר בו יעלו שדי, לך דודי, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, שמור וזכור בדיבורך תשמיענו, אחד מיוחד אדוני אחד, הוא שלו אחד לשמו תפארת ולתהילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לקראת שבת לכו בניך כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם, דרסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומאורי, אורי, אורי, שיר דמרי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה,
Please rise and face the rear.
לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, בואי ושלום התרבה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה.
We bow to the left.
בואי חלה,
To the right.
בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת
Make a circle. Go to Sam.
לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה,
Let's see what's next. Oh, Shalom Aleichem. I like it. Got to get your hands ready, the clap ready position.
מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. בואכם לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם מלאכי השרת מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם מלאכי השרת מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם מלאכי השרת מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם מלאכי השרת מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Go back to your seats.
Please rise as you're able.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ויעמד דברה קירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחיי כל וביומי כל ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. יהי שמרה מבורך לעולם לעולמי עולמיה, יתברך יתברך וישתבח, יתפאר ויתרומם ויתעשה, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי קודשה בריחו, נעלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה, ואמרו אמן.
Continue with Baruch Hu, the call to worship. Adonai Hamvorach Leholam Vahen. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leholam Vahen.
please join us in the Yalalas, and then we'll enter into the first of the brachot before the Shema, these words of Ma'ariv Aravim, as each day turns from day to night, and then we know it will turn back to day again. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidbaro ma'ariv arabim bechokma potech sharim ובתבונה משנה עתים ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם הרקיע כרצונו יללי יללי יללי
Let us bless the source of life,
source of darkness and light, heart of harmony and chaos, creativity and creation. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim.
Lisa, why don't you come on up? You can play underneath. There we go. You get a musical accompaniment.
For an open heart. God, give me an open heart, a generous heart, a humble heart. Give me a heart so free, so fearless, that I offer love without requirement. To love as you love, holding my beloved precious, loving them in this moment exactly as they are, praying that they follow their true path, regardless of where it takes them. Give me a heart gentle and willing to love them, as they would be loved, with honor and respect, kindness and humor, joy and friendship. Give me a love so pure and vast, so simple and strong, that it cherishes the love and the loving, asking nothing in return.
Thank you.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chokim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shofenu Umenu nasiach b'chukecha ונזמן מדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו לאורך ימינו ובהם נגי יומם ולילה נגי יומם ולילה עבדך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל
Baruch Ata Adonai Olam Amo Yisrael.
Please rise as you are able.
Open up our eyes, teach us how to live, fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. We will know that you are one. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Yasher Koach.
Yasher Koach.
Thank you, Lenore and KJ. Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושינתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We join together in English. Love your God with every heartbeat,
with every breath, with every conscious act.
Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God.
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
We sing a song of hope and freedom, Mi Chamocha.
Mi Chamocha Boelim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Nedar Bakodesh, Dora Tehilot Osef Ele נהדר בקודש נורא תהילות אוסף אלה אוסף אלה מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים זה אלינו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נהדר בקודש נורא תהילות אוסף אלה אוסף אלה ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גל ישראל מי כמוך מועלים אדוני מי כמוך נהדר בקודש נורא תהילות אוסף אלה אוסף אלה אוסף אלה אוסף
With our hopes for freedom, we hope for peace and love for everyone. Sing the words of Hashki Benu.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkimeinu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkimeinu, Leshalom. Hashkimeinu,
And understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding.
Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkimeinu, Leshalom. Let there be love. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Either one more time. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Well, does anybody, Vishamru is Exodus 31, 16 to 17, and it tells us that Shabbat is our perpetual gift. And sometimes you can't be there for Shabbat. But the nice thing is, like, you take a breath, you take another breath. If you lose a breath, you get another breath. If you lose a Shabbat, you get another Shabbat. So let's celebrate this Shabbat with Vishamru. Oh, this is the funky one, right?
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asod et HaShabbat L'dorotam Berit olam. Get up and dance if you want. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asod et HaShabbat L'dorotam Berit olam. Baby, oh baby, b'nei Yisrael, oti l'olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat l'dorotam, berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai el hashamayim v'haaretz. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Ashri Shabbat v'inafash Shabbat v'inafash Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat l'dorotam berit olam.
Hey, if you're disabled or chronically ill and have a hard time standing, I want you to know that it's okay to sit down when able-bodied people wouldn't or aren't. Not just in the context of using a wheelchair, but just whenever. Pull up a stool in front of the stove when you make mac and cheese. Kneel on a chair in front of the sink when you're washing dishes. Going outside to smoke or wait for a cab? Pop a squat on the sidewalk curb or stoop. Get a shower chair. It's not weird or shameful to minimize your pain. And it's not worth wasting spoons, energy, just because normal people would do it standing up.
And so as we enter the Amidah, the standing prayer, I invite you to rise in body or in spirit.
Na 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 Satai Tiftach Ana na 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 Ufi Agid Ufi Agid Tehilatecha Ana na 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 Adonai Ana na 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 Satai Tiftach Ana na 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 Ufi Agid Tehilatecha Ana na 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 Adonai Ana na 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 Satai Tiftach Ana na 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 Ufi Agid Tehilatecha Ana na 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 Adonai Ana na 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 Satai Tiftach Ana na 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 Ufi Agid Tehilatecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu V'imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor V'Hanorah El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר מושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיה כל אתה רב והושיע משהו הרוח מוריד הגשם מכלכל חיים בחסד מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים צומח נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצליח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. A blessing for Shabbat, for the holiness of Shabbat, we join together. Holy One of Being, help us replace the earthbound things, confines of space, with Sabbath eyes, with Sabbath heart. Help us to climb, to reach that place in sacred time where we can find our Sabbath soul. Help us, we pray, to recognize your holiness, to sanctify and embrace the Sabbath day, your precious gift, with love and grace. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. We ask God to accept our prayers, we join together. Ever-present One,
may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod.
Prayer of gratitude.
Blessed are you who take time to listen to difficult speech, for you help us persevere until we are understood.
Blessed are you who walk with us in public places and ignore the stares of strangers, for refined havens of relaxation in your companionship.
Blessed are you who take time to hurry up. Sorry.
Go ahead. Huh? You let me know? Stole my part. Blessed are you who never bid us to hurry up, and more blessed are you who do not snatch our tasks from our hands to do them for us. For often we need time rather than help.
Blessed are you who stand beside us as we enter new and untried ventures, for the delight we feel when we surprise you outweighs all the frustrating failures.
Blessed are you who ask for our help, for our greatest need is to be needed.
Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha u'lecha na'eh lehodot. Thank you. We offer a prayer for peace. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lekol hashalom. Ki ata לכל השלום, שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל. בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם, תשים לעולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום.
We take a few moments now to offer the prayers of our hearts.
At this moment in our service, we always take the opportunity.
Osa Shalom?
For sure. To sing Osa Shalom. That's what
Great.
we do. Every week we sing Osa Shalom after the Amidah.
We do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Osa Shalom imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל
shalom במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן ויאמרו אמן. Just look up.
O God, help me now. My soul is weighed down with this burden. My heart aches for my child. Sometimes I wish I could wrap him in my arms and flee away from the taunts and accusing jeers of thoughtless classmates, away from the pressures of evaluations and examinations. Envelop us both in your healing arms, dear God, and bind our wounds. Carry us by faith beyond the pain of these days. Be our refuge. Amen.
After Osa Shalom and this beautiful introduction, we take the opportunity to bring to mind those who are suffering, those who right now at this very moment are in hospitals. Shirley Goldstein went back into the hospital this afternoon, and we'll be able to see her tomorrow. She is so dear to all of us at 95 years old. But there may be somebody for whom you wish to add to our communal heart of prayer and hope and healing. People who are in hospitals or nursing homes who face a long weekend without even one visitor. Those who simply walk the earth with a stone in the heart or face the daily battles of sobriety. You might just call that name to mind in your heart and hold it there. When we sing a Mishaberach, you might choose to sing along or just say amen. When I look at your part of the congregation, if there's somebody you want all of us to keep in our hearts, please feel free to say that name out loud. The more will add to the spirit of healing and hope that we have for those who are suffering this Shabbat. Just call it out. Walt Rudolph, Diane Rudolph.
Chava Batali, Lee Fega, George Arnell.
Howie Daniels.
Thank you.
We share these words from Coldplay, of all places, right? These words of frustration, of sadness, of loss and fear. And yet, afterwards, they're met with words of comfort, with words of reassurance, with words of caring, with words of accompaniment that we are not alone. When you try your best, but you don't succeed. When you get what you want, but not what you need. When you feel so tired, but you can't sleep. Stuck in reverse. And the tears come streaming down your face. When you lose something you can't replace. For you love someone, but it goes to waste. Could it be worse? Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
You know, if every congregation, no matter what their expression of Judaism, had a Mara Kaplan, Judaism would face no issues, because our heart would be inclined in the right place. Our minds would be thinking about what we need to think about. Our hands will be put to what we need to do. It's such an honor and a blessing to have you give our Dvar Torah tonight.
Thank you. My son Samuel, who most of you know, has severe disabilities, and he usually, for mostly musicals, sits right over there. But there was an outbreak of influenza where he lives, and they're not doing any community outings, so he couldn't come tonight, and I was really bummed. But those of you who have met Samuel know that he has a big, ugly, ungainly wheelchair. But when he was 6, he had a bright purple wheelchair. It was great. The handles were up high, it was easy to push, and the handles almost made it so that you could have a ledge there. And I could put things there, like Shoshana's car seat, so I could get both of them into the daycare at the same time. One trip. That was pretty cool. I could also put a grocery basket on the back, which meant that Samuel and I could go grocery shopping. It is impossible, let me tell you, to push a wheelchair and a grocery cart. That doesn't work. So this was a great design. I would put the basket on the back and off we'd go. And every time we went, women would stop us and make comments. Always the women, never the men. So you men get extra points for this one. They would say to me things like, "You are so brave." I'm like, yeah, it's really hard to get to Giant Eagle. It's very scary. Or they would say, "I don't know how you could do this. I could never do this." Again, I'm grocery shopping with my kid. Did you see all the other parents grocery shopping with a kid? Mine's not even having a temper tantrum. Another would say, "Oh, he is God's special angel," which really just made me want to barf. And my absolutely favorite of all time, "God only gives special children to special parents who can handle it." Yuck. This week's Parsha is called Mishpatim, which means rules. It is a very good title, because there are 56 rules in this parsha. 56 out of our 613, all listed in this one parsha. One of the rules is, you shall not oppress a stranger, for you were once a stranger in the land of Egypt. This rule is so important, it's listed 36 times in the Torah, twice in this parsha. With this rule, the Torah is trying to turn our memory into empathy and more responsibility. Appealing to our experience in Egypt, the Torah seeks to transform us into people who see and not just walk by. You see, that's what I wanted from those women in the grocery store. Not pitying, not well-meaning sympathy. To me, their questions were oppressive. I wanted them to look past Samuel's strangeness and see that he was a beautiful, happy little boy. You know what? They could have complimented him on his clothes and asked where I had bought them. I stop little kids all the time and compliment them on their boots or their cute hats. They could have said, that's really cool how you did that with the grocery basket. I wish I could do that with my stroller. Or they could have asked, hey, where does Samuel go to school? To understand that 5-year-olds, even Samuels, go to school, that's empathy. That's understanding where I am and where I'm coming from. According to Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, the former chief rabbi of the UK, empathy is strongest in the groups when we identify with each other. Family, friends, congregants. The corollary to this is that the stronger the bond within the group, the sharper the suspicion and fear is outside of the group. It is easy to love your neighbor as yourself. It is very hard indeed or to love or even feel empathy for a stranger. Fear for the one not like us is capable of disabling our empathy response. But it's a good thing that empathy is a learned skill and we can practice. According to emotional intelligence expert Harvey Dusseldorf something or other, who from now on in the rest of this Devar we will be calling Harvey, because I cannot pronounce his name. He has some specific ways that we can practice being empathetic. First, become an active listener. Talk to people. Listen to their stories. Understand where they are coming from. If those women in the grocery store had spent time talking with me, they would find out that bravery really doesn't have anything to do with raising children. They would come to understand that sometimes I can handle being Samuel's mom, and sometimes I can't. They would learn that I believe that God didn't pick Richard and I to be Samuel's parents. It was the luck of the draw, and we're doing the best we can with what we've got, just like every other parent who is raising a child with a disability, or for that matter, raising any child at all. They would come to learn that I don't need pity, but sometimes I need a hand or a shoulder. Second, Harvey says, challenge your prejudice and stereotypes. Push beyond your comfort zone. Get to know somebody who makes you just a little bit uncomfortable because they are different from you, and make a genuine attempt to get to know them. See how many things you can find in common. 8 members of our community are going to get up on stage tomorrow night and share with us their mental health journeys. 4 of them are here tonight: Anne, Spencer, Lisa, and Susan. And we are very excited to hear their stories. They're going to tell us their mental health journey through stand-up comedy. I bet if you come tomorrow night that things like depression and anxiety, bipolar, schizophrenia, things that might make you uncomfortable. They make us all sometimes uncomfortable. I have depression and anxiety and I make myself uncomfortable. But I bet if you hear their stories tomorrow night, you'll find things that you have in common with each one of them. And I'll bet that mental illness will be a lot less scary by the end of the night. Next, Harvey says, develop a curiosity about others. Have you ever wondered if Samuel could understand language, or if he recognizes people and places? Had a long conversation with my first and second graders about this. They ask all sorts of great questions. You can ask them too. Samuel doesn't understand language. He has the cognitive of about a 6-month-old. But he does recognize his favorite places and people. His caregivers always tell us that he gets excited when he comes into this building because he knows that this is a place that makes him happy. February is Jewish Disability Awareness, Acceptance, and Inclusion Month. They threw in another word this year. During the next 48 days, I encourage you to get to know somebody who has a disability, a mental health diagnosis, or is raising a child who learns and understands the world differently than you. Use these strategies of active listening, challenging your prejudices, and asking questions. You may surprise yourself with what you learn, and maybe you turn a stranger into a friend. I leave you with one last story. When Samuel was 5, he had a best friend named Stephen. One day, Stephen and his mom were at the mall shopping. They went into a Hallmark store, and it was Christmas time, so the line was very long. And in came a woman using an electric wheelchair. Stephen broke with his mom's hand, walked right over to the woman. Every single person in that line went, and although nobody said anything, you might as well have heard the screaming of, "You're not going to let your son go talk to that stranger, are you?" Well, Stephen walked right up to the woman and he said, "You know what? My friend Samuel's wheelchair is cooler than yours. It's purple." The woman laughed and she said, "Yes, but can his wheelchair do this?" And she hit the electricity and did a 360. Stephen had to admit that just maybe that was cooler than Samuel's purple wheelchair. Stephen and the woman had a good talk while the line went on. I would like to think that people in that line learned something from Samuel. We should all learn from the children in our midst because they haven't learned yet to be afraid of the stranger and of the strangeness. During this month of acceptance and inclusion, may we all learn to accept the stranger and include them in our community. We will be richer for it. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to steal the mic for one more second and say might get a lot of the credit, but I have the most amazing Disability and Inclusion Committee. And if all of you could raise your hands right now, you saw a lot of them up on the bima tonight. This group has worked incredibly hard to put on this weekend's events and things that you will see through the month. And I'd especially like to thank Samantha, who did our beautiful slides tonight. All the artwork is done by people with disabilities. There are descriptions of the artists out on the front table, and I encourage you to take them. And at the Oneg, you can see all of their pictures without words in front of them. Shabbat Shalom.
Normally I would say Yesher Koach, but I think we're all going to do this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just a few announcements before the end part of our service. I want to thank John and Denise Schiller. Where are you guys? You're somewhere. They're our greeters tonight. And I also want to thank Mara and Richard and Watts, Women of Temple Sinai, for sponsoring tonight's Oneg. Our cantorial music is partially underwritten by a grant from Edgar Snyder. We're so happy that to have his continuing support for Canna Berman singing here and all the gifts that she brings. Tomorrow morning, there's Torah study, 8:30 in the morning, led by Rabbi Gorban. At 9:15, there is Minyan in the upstairs Barnett Chapel that will be led by, I think all three of us will be there. On Sunday is the Bereshit class led by Canna Berman, and the Shalom Hartman, Israel I Engage Center lesson that I do every week. Yours is at 11, right?
Yes.
And mine's at 9:15. Next Friday services are at 7 o'clock as usual. They'll be upstairs in the chapel. And 2 weeks from tonight, talking about inclusion, one of the great rabbis of North American liberal Judaism, Rabbi Lisa Grushko, who's the rabbi of Westmount Temple in Montreal, will be speaking all weekend long as our scholar in residence on Judaism and sexuality, and especially our entree and openness to the LGBTQ plus community. Many things are planned. You can see the schedule in the Chronicle or on the Temple Sinai website. We encourage you to come to any or all of the events that are associated with that. I'm going to invite Rabbi Gorban and Cantor Berman to come back. I also want to thank our band before we go on. Thank you so much for your spirit. No, there you go. Terrific. And everybody who came up and did sign language tonight, thank you very, very much for deepening our spirit by giving us what we call embodied prayer, not just in our mind and heart, and not just in our voice, but in our bodies as well. As you are able, please rise for the Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, v'atei kedula le'yotzer bereshit, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורר עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני, למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
It's our custom here that we want to recognize mourners as mourners. So as we read the names for those who are observing Yahrzeit, the names of those we're memorializing in Yahrzeit, and those more recent deaths, we're going to ask those mourners to rise in their place. And then at the very end, because we believe with all of our hearts that no mourner should ever need to stand alone, we'll ask all the rest of us to stand with our mourners, as Kaddish has said. This week we especially remember...
It's in alphabetical order.
Okay, fine. So... this week we especially remember the names of Seymour Atman, Jane Goldberg Berkman, and Benjamin Bloom, Bob Brown, Israel Chetland, and Francis Clark, Aaron Koblenz, Edgar Cohen, and Libby Rose Cohen, and Helen Simmerman, Leon Dorfson, Theodore H. Engelman, and Rebecca Fagan, Edith Falk and Lee Farb, Sylvia Friedman, Shepard Gefsky, and Harry Glick, Mary Gold, Sandy Gold, Richard Goldberg, and Irving Goldman, Louis Goldzer, Betty Gordon, and Milton Gordon, Ethel Greenberg, Nathan Gross, and Carl Gusson, Rebecca Azen Harris and Sorrel Harris, Morris Herr and Bernice E. Ivey and Lillian Isaacson, Frida Janvey and Harold Kamens, Meyer Kaplan, Lee Kaiser, and Cy Kelman, Saul Kurtz, Rachel Levin, George Lovett, Albert Marcus and Bennett Martin, Pauline Martin and Sandy Mason, Lance Rook, Rhea Rosenthal, Melvin Roth and Dora Rubinson, Charles Sable, Dr. Eugene Joel Schachter and Saul Schiller, Marilyn Stein, Minnie Topol, Albert Tversky, Molly Vernier. And now we remember those whose recent deaths we still mourn. Henry Strauss, the father of Susan Strauss, who just died in Chicago, will be buried on Sunday or Monday. Ruth Brown, the mother of Mark Brown, Norman Cohen, the father of Dan Cohen, Mo Coleman, the husband of Greta and the brother of Phyllis Dreyfus, Betty J. Marcus, the mother of Karen Snyderman, Reuben Harris, the father of David Harris, Betty Aiello, the grandmother of Judy Lynn Aiello, Nadine Pitts, the sister-in-law of Paul Pitts, Mervyn Cooper, the brother of Ruth Reboard, Aaron Averbrook, the uncle of Mara and Richard Kaplan, Sidney Filer and Taylor Nathan. Now that our mourners have stood, we rise with them for the Kaddish to be said. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yolma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayedechol bei Israel Ba'agala uvizman kari v'yimru. Amen.
Yehi
Shmei Rabba Mavarach le'olam olamei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. Yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudsham brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Damiram bi'alma v'yimru. Amen. Yehi Shlom Rabba min Shemaya. V'chaim aleina ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. V'yaseh shalom aleinu. V'al kol Yisrael v'al kol Yisrael tevel v'yimru. Amen. May the source of peace in the high heavens cause peace to descend on all of us, all Israel, upon everyone who is broken in our world and needs healing, upon all of us who mourn our beloved dead. As together we say, Amen. Our final song is a rip-roaring version of Elechamda Libi, which means these are the desires of my heart. Have mercy and do not turn away from us. We ask God of that. I'm going to get on the tof, which is that drum over there. Kids, I can't lead you in dancing, but you are welcome to dance and then be up here for the blessing over animal crackers, which is coming. You know, I'll give her the animal crackers. You
and
dance
frankly,
there.
all of you are welcome to dance wherever you are or to come out.
There you go.
Elechamda libi, join me. Elechamda libi, a little higher now. Elechamda libi, Elechamda libi, we need all that. Elechamda libi, Elechamda libi, Elechamda libi. Now a little different. Elhamdalibi, Elhamdalibi, Elhamdalibi. Repeat that. Elhamdalibi, Elhamdalibi, Elhamdalibi. Again. Elhamdalibi, Elhamdalibi, Elhamdalibi.
Blessed are you as you come into our space and create this wonderful community together. And blessed are you as you take all of the blessings that you have and spread it around the world. As together we say, Amen. And Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei mizonot. Praise are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who makes all sorts of yummy treats like animal crackers. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.